That shouldn't affect him too much, but it just shows he's a very stupid man.
If you know that other people are being protected, people that have made a choice for public office, then why wouldn't you be comfortable, happy with someone in my position who's given 35 years service?
Once celebrated as the beloved spare with a rebellious charm, Prince Harry now finds himself at the center of a shocking scandal that has rocked the royal family to its core. Whispers from behind Montecito's walls have exploded into a crisis after reports emerged that Harry was found unconscious at his California home. Not from a fainting spell, but allegedly due to substance use. His trusted bodyguard, David Langdown, a former Scotland Yard officer who has protected Harry for decades, was the one who discovered him and potentially saved his life. Emergency services rushed Harry to the hospital, where he remained under observation for hours. While the palace stayed silent, insiders say phones in London were ringing off the hook, scrambling not just to address Harry's condition, but to protect the royal image. This isn't just about one medical emergency. It's a deeply disturbing window into long-buried trauma, unchecked behaviors, and a royal system more concerned with control than care, all while Meghan's chilling absence from the scene adds another layer of suspicion to a legacy now teetering on the edge.
There's a fair amount of marijuana, magic mushrooms, cocaine. I mean, that's gonna surprise people.
But important to...
While Prince Harry was being rushed to the hospital in a state of medical emergency, Meghan Markle was reportedly seen at an exclusive members-only Hollywood club, laughing, drinking, and enjoying herself with friends, a scene that has sparked widespread outrage and suspicion. According to sources, Meghan left almost immediately after the incident, not in panic, but seemingly to establish an alibi, with insiders suggesting her absence was a strategic move rather than a heartfelt reaction.
That shouldn't affect him too much, but it just shows he's a very stupid man. Because there's so many instances. I mean, one of the things that he's been complaining about...
magic mushrooms in California.
You idiot.
Photos of her smiling that night only amplified the perception that she was detached, if not outright indifferent, to Harry's condition. For someone who has long marketed herself as a symbol of compassion and loyalty, the timing felt calculated, not caring. At the same time, Harry's long history with substance abuse, rumored since his teenage years and involving everything from marijuana to cocaine, appears to have reached a dangerous tipping point. Experts say this was not just a bad night, but a clear sign of a deeper, ongoing struggle that's been hidden behind palace PR and public image campaigns. The charming prince the world once adored may have been quietly unraveling for years, and now the truth can no longer be ignored.
Everything. Because in beginning of 2020, I was scored the highest as far as risk was concerned, and then overnight I was reduced to the lowest without actually going through the risk management board. So one does question how that is even possible, and also the motive behind that at the time. And that was in 2020. And as hard as it is to appreciate or understand why the decision was made the way that it was in 2020, the hardest thing for me has been the fix of that decision for the last 5 years. The fact that I still haven't had a risk management board assessment done for me over the last 5 years. Everybody else within this group of people.
As news of Prince Harry's hospitalization spread, disturbing stories from his past have resurfaced. Stories the palace once brushed aside or buried entirely. In one alarming account from 2007, Harry was allegedly caught snorting vodka, a method doctors warn can be instantly fatal by sending alcohol directly to the brain. Another report details him inhaling an entire canister of hospital-grade laughing gas during a visit, an act both dangerous and deeply irresponsible, yet never publicly addressed. These weren't mere youthful indiscretions, they were serious warning signs swept under the rug by a palace machine desperate to preserve a polished image. Now, those red flags are being reevaluated in the harsh light of recent events. Making matters worse are claims that Meghan Markle has not only known about Harry's substance abuse, but may have exploited it to maintain control. Sources allege she uses drugs as a means to keep him disoriented and dependent, a chilling form of manipulation. Though unproven, the fact that such accusations are gaining traction speaks volumes. What was once framed as a fairy tale romance now appears fractured, with Harry's vulnerability possibly weaponized by the one person who should have offered him stability.
And I'm sitting here today talking to you where, you know, we've lost the appeal, but the other side have won in keeping me unsafe. So again, there's a lot of question marks that a lot of people will have. I have all of the truth. I have all of the knowledge now throughout the legal process. I've uncovered.
Meghan Markle's past is now under intense scrutiny as details once dismissed as harmless stories resurface with more serious implications. At her first wedding in Jamaica, guests allegedly received party favors in the form of pre-rolled joints, reportedly assembled by Meghan herself, an act that not only raised eyebrows but also risked legal consequences for unsuspecting attendees who brought them back to the US. These claims, once brushed off as youthful rebellion, are now being viewed as potential indicators of a long-standing connection to drug culture. Adding to the unease are renewed whispers about her mother, Doria, and her alleged ties to California's criminal underworld, unverified but gaining traction in royal circles. This wave of suspicion is cracking Meghan's carefully curated image, painting her not just as a controversial public figure, but possibly someone with a far murkier past. Equally damning is the palace's role in shielding Harry's history of erratic behavior. For years, royal aides and PR teams reportedly buried troubling incidents under photo ops and charity headlines. Even during his military service, surprise drug tests were said to be dodged or covered up to avoid scandal. The pattern reveals a disturbing truth. Protecting the institution's reputation was prioritized over Prince Harry's well-being. Now that the latest crisis has erupted into public view, the royal family's silence no longer looks like discretion, it looks like complicity.
So whether it's the media or whether it's anybody else that claims that the royal household and my father and my family don't have any decision-making capabilities on Ravec, well then what's their role? They're not experts. What's their role on that? And Sir Richard Mottram emailed back in January of 2020 that an RMB would be necessary before taking my security away. After his visit to the palace, that RMB that was planned was abandoned in favour of alternative governance measures.
The narrative within royal circles has taken a sharp turn. Once seen as the rebellious royal, Prince Harry is now viewed with sympathy, while Meghan Markle finds herself under intense suspicion. The focus has shifted dramatically. Questions that were once dismissed as tabloid gossip are now reportedly being asked by senior officials. Was Meghan involved in supplying drugs? Did she purposefully isolate Harry from his family? Has she constructed a reality where she controls every aspect of his life?
Well, my status hasn't changed. It can't change. I am who I am. I am part of what I'm part of, and I can never escape that. My circumstances will always be the same. But with a specific answer to the question, there are comparisons that exist. And again, I have to be careful what I say, but I think it would be quite shocking for the British public and the public at large to understand or know that, in fact many people do know this, that people who leave public office receive lifetime protection, regardless of whether there are threats or risks to them. So for me, with a whole list of risks and threats that were known about in 2020 and that have only increased over time, including the Al-Qaeda threat that was published and talked about recently, completely disregarded.
Her absence during Harry's medical emergency is being interpreted not as detachment, but as a calculated move, possibly the final straw that pushed royal insiders from wary tolerance to full-blown concern. Behind closed doors, royal legal teams are said to be preparing for all outcomes, not just regarding Harry's health, but the potential public implosion that could follow. If Harry speaks out, or if damning information about Meghan leaks, this could trigger a crisis that even palace spin can't contain. Divorce isn't the current focus. Damage control is, but insiders fear that the tightly stitched royal narrative may finally unravel. For the first time, the palace may choose not to protect Meghan, and as King Charles was reportedly notified immediately after Harry's hospitalization, it's clear the monarchy is already bracing for fallout. This isn't just another scandal, it could be the event that shatters the carefully maintained myth of royal unity.
Well, first off, private security can only do so much. Again, I can't go into the details of that, but I think most people will be able to work that out. One of the major things is they don't have jurisdiction in a foreign country, or in any country, they don't have any jurisdiction. Police protection is effective protection, which is what my grandmother made very clear that we needed. With regard to the taxpayer part of it, I don't need to go into detail how much the royal family costs or how much protection costs or whatever. What I will say is that Some of the British tabloid press did a very good job in campaigning to have our security removed by quoting figures such as £20 million.
Beneath the headlines, speculation, and royal spin lies a painful truth. Prince Harry is not well. From childhood trauma and the loss of his mother to the isolation of royal life, public scrutiny, and personal heartbreak, he has borne a lifetime of emotional wounds that were never truly addressed. What the world has seen as rebellion or controversy has often been a cry for help buried beneath the glitz of royal appearances and the brutality of media narratives. His pain has been exploited, ridiculed, or marketed, but rarely understood. Whether Meghan has contributed to his spiral or not, the reality is that Harry's struggle demands compassion, not condemnation. This latest incident in Montecito isn't just another royal drama, it's a warning. It may be the moment where everything finally fractures, or the first step toward genuine healing. But one thing is clear, the fairy tale has cracked, and behind it stands a deeply wounded man. As palace officials brace for damage control and the world watches with growing concern, the illusion of a perfectly curated royal life is fading, and the truth it reveals is both devastating and long overdue.